What's up? Welcome to the Deadlifts and Pizza, no BS fitness and nutrition podcast. I'm Jaime. This is Laura.
And I'm Laura.
Yes, she is. What's up? How are you today? I already know how you are today. That's
good.
Cool.
Are you talking to me or everyone else? I don't know.
I know. It's like, are we talking to the people or are we talking to each other? How are you feeling today? Good?
Good.
Decent?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm good. Donovan and I just finished working out. And I'm proud of us. I've been a little bit more consistent on this trip because we're traveling overseas. We're not home. We've been traveling for 6 weeks. Well, no, we've been traveling for this is like 3 or 4 weeks. I've lost track. So I've been pretty good with those Metcon workouts that I put in the app. And he's done, this was his second one, but we woke up and went for a walk this morning and then immediately did the workout. And at the end of this workout, so it's like back to back, like kettlebell, exercises. And then at the end, I put 40 push-ups. Because in my Taekwondo class, the reason I did 40 specifically was because in my Taekwondo class, we do 40 push-ups at the end of every workout. And so I was like, I need to be doing 40 push-ups relatively regularly so I don't come back and look like a weakling. I need to be still doing them. Because remember when we did the push-up challenge and 40 was the number that we were not struggling with, but wasn't that the one that we were hitting or
You didn't hit 40.
I didn't hit 40. You hit 40 and then hurt your shoulder, right?
Yeah, I did almost 50.
That's insane. Well, now I can do 40 ever since doing them in this thing. So I was doing 40. So I put 40 at the end of my workout. My husband and I are real competitive. So he was like, all right, you ready? And I was like, wait, no, it's not a race. And he's like, whatever, it's always a race with you. And I was like, but not this time because you're going to beat me. And then he was like, whatever. And I was like, I can do 40. I'm just going to be slower than you. And because you're better at push-ups than me. And then I was like, wait, okay, it is a race, but you have to do 60. And he was like, what? That's messed up. And then he was like, wait, okay, I accept. And I was like, all right. And so I was like, it's on, mofo. And we get down and we literally finished 40 and 60. It was I was like 40 and he was like 60, in the exact same breath.
That's funny.
So, yeah.
So 60 is a lot.
60 is a lot, but he's very upper body strong. So it was not that much for him, but 60 is a lot.
I could beat my husband. I don't know how many he can do, but I'm sure I could beat him.
That would be a good one to see. Mm-hmm. How many do you think he could do if you had to guess?
20.
Okay.
Yeah. He doesn't work out, so.
Right.
So that's pretty good for not being able to, or not working out, I mean.
Yeah, for sure. But I say test it and video it.
Video it? Mm-hmm. You won't like that, I don't think.
I want to see. You can do it sneakily, right? Super respectful.
Oh, just to send to you. I can do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Just me.
Just you.
And maybe our WhatsApp group of clients. But don't tell them that part. All right, let's get into it. So I have on my notes IG influencers and food fear mongering from last week.
Yeah. Yeah. You can start, even though that was my topic.
It was your topic.
So I was just thinking about.
Okay, well, so in Laura's head last week.
I was thinking about how annoying these Instagram influencers are with their food fear mongering and how they're I don't even know if I think a lot of them actually think they're helping. I don't think they even realize that they're being, it's not helpful because all it does is confuse people. And now people don't know what to eat anymore. Because if you listen to these people, you have no options left of food to eat. There's nothing left that's good because they'll just take one compound that's in this food and then demonize the entire food because it contains that one thing that is it could potentially be harmful, but they're not actually looking at the food as a whole and what looking at it. Because if you just take the one piece, it looks bad. But if you look at the food as a whole, it is not necessarily bad,
Oh, so 100%. And these people who are doing that are themselves confused. And I think they don't even necessarily know it. But it must be very frustrating to live in your own head thinking that these individual ingredients are so dangerous on their own.
Yeah.
And they're confused. And then, but they have their one lane of confusion or whatever. But then when it's the public seeing all these influencers, different varying lanes of confusion, like meat's bad, vegetables are bad.
Yeah, that's whatever. The worst.
Oh my gosh. Then the individual consumers, like I'm seeing all these different lanes of different things, and that's insane.
And it's just, I remember how I used to be before I knew stuff, and how everything I ate, I always felt like I was doing something wrong. It didn't matter what it was. I was like, well, this has this in it, which is bad, and this has this in it. And it was like I couldn't find foods that were like, you always just feel like you're like doing something that's detrimental to your health because you're eating this or that, and finding the right foods to eat can be confusing for people with these people saying all this stuff.
Do you have an example of something that you used to like that is relatively healthy that you used to maybe avoid or think was bad because of what you had seen or read online?
Let's see. Like I used to eat paleo a lot. So anything that they like, so any kind of grains or anything like oats. Oats is a good one.
Oh,
I didn't eat any oats.
That's still a thing. Like oatmeal's bad. Like there's so many Instagram reels about oatmeal.
And it's actually very good for you.
Extremely.
It's very good for you. So there's no need to avoid it. And I would avoid things that were unnecessary, like because a lot of people do have gluten intolerances. So certain people do, and I shouldn't say a lot of people, some people have gluten intolerances, so you might have to avoid things like pasta or like wheat pasta or whatever. But I would avoid it just because I thought that you weren't, like it was like more common than it was. But I have no problem with pasta. I can eat as much pasta as I want to eat, and it doesn't bother me at all. So avoiding things that are unnecessary. An example could be something like where they take like one thing in it. So something like fish. Fish is high in mercury, right? So we all know mercury isn't good for you. Consuming mercury is you have to limit that as much as possible, right? If you think about all the things that it does, like all the negative impacts of it, you'd be like, I should never eat fish because it contains mercury. But fish also is very high in selenium, which binds to mercury and it stops it from, causing any issues in your body. And fish are like one of the highest, foods that contain the most of that. So if you just looked at the mercury, you'd be like, I shouldn't have fish. But when you really look at the food as a whole, instead of just looking at that individual thing, it's really not that big of an issue. So
that is where you are just like a wealth of these kinds of little tidbits that I didn't even know that. God, no? I'm big on like the dose makes the poison, right? So even like mercury, it's there's a limit of like how much you can maybe safely consume, as with most things. But just knowing that, what is it? What is the other nutrient? Selenium
or selenium.
I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I've heard it pronounced both ways. I don't know if it's selenium or selenium, but yeah.
Oh, what about anti-nutrients? Anti-nutrients in certain things like beans and legumes and certain vegetables.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time, the only thing that's going to do is stop you from absorbing the nutrients in that particular food. So it's not going to like leach your body of nutrients. It's just going to make it, same thing with the mercury and the selenium, is that you're getting less of it in the food than what you would normally get if the mercury wasn't there. So it's not like it's going to leach your body of nutrients. It's not that big of a deal. And a lot of times with certain things, it's like, I don't remember, what is it? Something in beans or something that they say not to eat.
Yep.
But like when you put it in water, anything, it like doesn't even bother you the same way.
Exactly. So it's like, well, once you cook, are you eating raw beans? Nobody is.
No.
These things that are very much taken out of context. It kind of reminds me of that documentary that everybody was freaking out about. Was it Game Changers on Netflix, where it was very pro-vegan? It was very much like pro-vegan, and it was I didn't watch it in its entirety. I think I watched snippets of it, or maybe like definitely the first half, purposely looking at it with a very skeptical like mindset. And don't get me wrong, I am not one of those people that is like protein, protein, protein. Like protein's very important, but I also very much understand a lot of the reasons somebody might want to be vegan or vegetarian, or at least reduce their meat intake in terms of environmental sustainability, all that stuff, ethics, all that stuff. So I'm very much, I was vegan myself for like a year. And so I'm not coming at it from that like perspective of being very strong in one camp. But I was watching that, and some of the things, and a lot of those like Netflix documentaries and things that, you know, you watch online do this, where they take real things, but then they zoom in so much on one specific point, and then like expand that to make you think that that's the only thing. Like it was, I don't even remember exactly what it was, but they took some kind of study, quote unquote, and they took some graph from that study, and they quite literally zoomed in on like the middle of the graph, cut out like this miniature in the middle point, and then zoomed out and made it look like that was the whole graph. And you saw like a downwards trend of like whatever it was. And they were using that as evidence to support their claims, when really, if you go look up that exact study, you can see the entirety of the graph. And they just took like a middle part where it went down, instead of like, it was just like so incredibly. And that's what I feel like is an example of what happens a lot, like online or in media or in books, is like people taking, it's like confirmation bias. You're looking for the thing that supports what you already believe, and then you just extrapolate that instead of looking at the entire picture. And that's how you, that's like, but it's hard to know. Like, how are you supposed to know that I'm looking at, you know, 1/8 of this graph? Or how am I supposed to know that you're only giving me like, you know, 2% of the actual entire information? How's anybody supposed to know?
Yeah, that's what they do with any kind of documentary. I don't like. I'm like, there's got to be missing information, because they're always
100%.
biased towards their opinion and whatever.
100%.
So they take the studies that represent, you know, what they believe, even though there's studies that counter what they say and whatever.
And so then people wonder, like the average person always wonders, well, then what the heck am I supposed to do? And honestly, my recommendation of what to do in this scenario is pick a few people that you can trust. And maybe we can right now tell a few that we on social media that you can follow, you can read their stuff and trust, and then literally listen to nobody else. I don't care who it is, what family member said that this was, you know, the oracle of advice, what documentary is out on Netflix, literally nothing else. And if you want to know what those people that now we're going to choose to respect and listen to, what they think about this thing, because you heard it and you can't ignore it, then you can go research their information and see what they say about it. Guaranteed there's data on it.
Yeah.
Who would you recommend? Us.
Us, yeah.
We don't post enough scientific stuff, but if somebody wanted like real research.
Yeah, I really like Lane Norton because he's willing to like switch his opinion. He doesn't have that like he's very intellectually honest. So he's willing to like go by what the data says, and he's willing to switch his opinion even if it's something that he's believed forever, if the data shows something different. So he's he won't tell you something if he doesn't fully believe it. So he's trustworthy with everything. Alan Aragon, of course.
Obviously.
I don't know who else. Who do you like to?
If you're looking for legit researchers, like nutrition researchers, like the ones that are behind it, and you're nerdy like that and you want to get behind it, both Lane Norton and Alan Aragon and Bill Campbell, right?
Bill Campbell is awesome. Yeah.
We, between the two of us, we subscribe to all three of their, they have like a nutrition research review thing that they release every month, very low cost. They cover, you know, if you're interested in all of that stuff and you want to make sure that you're getting like the big picture on various topics, they're the three that I would recommend. And then in terms of like, then there sometimes though, people like that stuff is hard to follow on social media because it's not as fun. It's a little bit more data. It's a little bit more, you really have to be like a nerd that likes that kind of stuff. Yeah. But if you want people that they break it down in real layman's terms. I like this guy, Liam. Literally, that's his name on TikTok is Liam.
Liam.
But I don't know who he is on Instagram, but he's this super cool guy. I don't know if you follow him. And he's very much realistic. The dose makes the poison, like science-based, breaks it down in layman's terms. So I don't know. If you go on TikTok and just look up Liam, he comes up. His name is literally Liam. Oh, The Plant Slant. At The Plant Slant on TikTok. Let me see if he's The Plant Slant. Yep, he's on Instagram as well as The Plant Slant. Yeah, literally. Look that up. I don't know what that means. The Plant Slant. He's not a vegan. He definitely but he's always talking about beans. Like I'm like, oh my God, this guy is me. He's a male version of me. And then so I like him.
I've seen him before.
Yeah. The Plant
He
Slant.
makes fun of people's like things where like somebody will be it like with that I don't like to talk bad about people, so I'm not gonna say names, but the one guy that was in the store and he was like, you shouldn't eat this because it has this amount of sugar in it or
You're
something.
So nice.
And then he's
You're
like,
talking about Bobby.
Yeah, I don't name names, but yeah.
You're so nice. I won't name some names, but Bobby Bobby approved is not approved.
And he was like contradicting himself, so the guy was like writing down notes like, oh, he said this, and then he just gives up and throws his notebook.
Yeah, it was like one of them was like, you always want to avoid cane sugar, and then Liam was like, all right, no cane sugar, got it.
Exactly.
And there's another video where he was like, and this one, it's got very minimal ingredients, like the second one is cane sugar, and he was like, oh, cane sugar, never mind, like crossed it out. Yeah. I like that guy a lot. He's everything he's put out. Like literally, I have not seen a single video that I disagree with him. So I recommend him. And then do you ever watch Dr. Idz? I love Dr. Idz. Dr. IDZ, Dr. Idz. He's an actual medical doctor, not like one of these chiropractors that then calls himself a doctor and spews off BS. Like somebody was I think it was Dr. Idz was reviewing this video of somebody that was saying that fasting increases your male's testosterone by 1,300%. And she was like a doctor. And it was like this video where she was like, I am a doctor. And her profile says doctor. And he was basically pointing out like, I researched you and you are a doctor of chiropractor, which is great, like good for you, but this does not give you like the knowledge you need to be able to like, and plus the study that you cited, you actually said the data wrong. Like, so he just goes through and is like, this is why it's wrong. So Dr. Idz, I like Liam in terms of like nutritional stuff. And then we can talk about strength training. That's a whole different.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing.
That has less of, I mean, there's like I guess there is a lot of misinformation for that too. Never mind.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, it's not fear-mongering.
It's different.
Yeah.
This is making me think like, why is it different? Because I definitely say things, because what I was initially going to say was, it's not as like dangerous. Like some of the stuff that goes around about nutrition is literally dangerous for your mental health, for your physical health. It's absolutely insane. But strength training could be dangerous. Like remember that woman we saw giving a deadlift feedback, and it was this really weird way where they lifted it up. She lifted it up well. Like the lift off was good, but then her hinge down was like her legs were completely straight until the bar hit the ground.
Yeah, RDLing it. She wanted you to RDL it all the way down.
Like stiff leg RDL it almost all the way down. And she was like, that's exactly how it's supposed to look. And she was doing this whole thing.
And he was like doing this thing with her hand. And I'm like, don't do that.
I wanted to like be one of those people that stitched that video and like went over top of it, but I was like, no, just make a video that talks about the way to do an RDL. But I just feel like,
that's what I would rather do is find something like that. And then, okay, I've seen people put stuff out and I'm going to say that, but I'm not going to like, stitch myself in it.
I know. I don't want to be, I don't like it either. But at the same time, I really appreciate, because Liam does that. You know what I mean? And he's a really good guy. You know how sometimes you get this slimy feeling from people that do that. They stitch over or whatever. And they're just trying to be controversial. They're just trying to like get, views. But this guy, Liam, does it in a way where you really believe that like, look, I'm doing this, and Dr. Idz as well. I'm doing this because I need to help correct your mindset on, I'm not trying to trash this person, but this is incorrect because I'm trying to help you. Like, I want to be able to do it from that perspective. Like, props to this woman for putting herself out there, but this literally is dangerous advice. But I just can't be that. I just can't. I can't do it unless it's Bobby. Maybe because he's so big.
Yeah, I think that's what the difference is. If it's someone like him, or like, I'm not going to name the other names, but there's other people I feel the same way about. There's 2 other people in my brain right now that I'm thinking, like,
who are they?
You guys give terrible, but they also like try to sell their supplements and their stuff.
Exactly.
Like they're trying to make money off of it. So I know that they are doing it because they're trying to make money, and they probably don't even believe what they're saying.
Yeah.
Whereas other people, I think they actually think they're helping, but they're not.
Yeah, there's 2 camps, right? There's people that actually believe what they're saying and think that they're helping, and then there's 100% people that have money behind what they're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. If they're trying to sell you a supplement at the end, then you know that. Especially if they're saying how good whole food is. Eat whole foods, and take my supplement. What?
Right.
Why?
Okay.
If like liver is so good for you. Liver is awesome. But if you can't eat liver, take this liver supplement that I have, something like that. It's like, stop it. Stop. Basically, it's just vitamins.
Exactly. It's similar to, I was at a party recently where there was a lot of people and there was a lot of food, and the hostess of the party was looking for salt to add to something she was making. And she was looking for the salt. And then somebody else comes in the room and was like, "Oh, what do you need?" And she was like, "Oh, I'm looking for the salt." And this other person was like, "Oh, do you have Celtic salt?" And she was like, "Oh no, I don't have any." And he was like, "Oh my gosh, you have to get Celtic salt. Celtic salt, if you want to lower your blood pressure, is so important. Like, switch out all of your salt. You need to get rid of all your salt and go. I know it's more expensive, but Celtic salt has so many more nutrients. And I know that, like, so-and-so suffers with blood pressure and he really needs to switch to Celtic salt." And my brain wanted to explode. Like, I wish I could have said something in that moment. But I was like, do you understand? Because this is another thing with salt. Is like, we're talking about salt. Like, how much salt do you eat that you think that yes, there are more minerals in like Celtic sea salt or whatever, but the amount difference between that and table salt compared to how much you actually eat doesn't actually really impact the amount of nutrients that your body is then going to take in.
No, especially when and if you're worried about like how much salt you're getting, it's funny when people are worried about how much salt they're consuming, so they stop adding it to their food.
Yes.
But the majority of it that you get is in your processed food that you're eating.
Exactly. And this was another point that I don't want to be judgmental, but at the same time, I can't help but, like, you just came in here boasting about Celtic salt. This individual is pretty overweight, does not eat a healthy diet, fast food all of the time, not eating a lot of vegetables. Like, per individual, I wasn't just seeing their snapshot of what they ate at the party, because that would be unfair. To judge somebody by what they eat at a party is unfair. But, I do know how this person generally lives and what they eat. And it is just one of those things where I can't say that sometimes I get legit mad, right? I get like legit pissed when I hear stupid stuff. But this was one of those situations that I just kind of felt sad. I was like, wow. Like, in the overall context of the way people live their lives, you think that switching to Celtic salt is going to be the thing that improves your health and improves your blood pressure when you don't exercise, you don't walk, you don't get up out of your chair, you eat this kind of stuff all of the time. And Celtic salt is the thing you're going to come in and boast to the room that they need to change to.
It's like everyone's always looking for those little magical little bullets instead of doing the boring things that are going to make the biggest impact.
Exactly.
And it's super simple. It really is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple.
Exactly. Yep.
It's
and
not as
part
complicated.
of it not being easy is this stuff. This is part of what makes it not easy, is because people don't know, like, hey, I'll do the thing, but I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. But if you keep hearing different advice, you don't know what to do, and you get just frustrated and you go back to what's, comfortable in your brain.
Another one is like organic food versus non-organic food. Do you have an opinion on organic food and non-organic food?
I used to 100% think that organic was better. And I've since learned that it really is not a difference maker.
Yeah. Because I've heard people say, if it's not organic, just don't eat it. And
Which
all
is
you're
ridiculous.
doing is, and everybody can't afford organic, and all you're doing is scaring people away from eating healthier food. So vegetables, are one of the healthiest things you can eat. They're so nutrient dense, and looking at them, even so, I do think that spraying our food with a bunch of things like glyphosate and all of that is not a good thing. Like I don't think having that on my food is a positive, but it's still better than not eating it at all. So if you're afraid to eat organic or eat non-organic food, then you don't have to. It's still a net positive. All the things in that food are going to help protect you even from the all the toxins and stuff that's on it. So I think that's another example of people not looking at food as a whole and just looking at one little thing.
Exactly.
So there's so many like micronutrients and antioxidants in vegetables that are going to help you with any kind of toxins that you're consuming anyway.
Well, like you talk about the protective properties of like fruits and vegetables and whole foods. And it's the same kind of idea as looking at crowding out your diet with the good stuff instead of constantly trying to eliminate the bad stuff. And it goes with this too. If we're constantly looking at, oh my gosh, this ingredient is bad, or this spray is bad, or this is bad. Well, what about all of the good stuff that you're going to be getting? And what's the alternative? What's eating fast food, or what? I mean, what do you eat then? What's the alternative? And absolutely. I agree with you. And there's measures that you can take. There's all kinds of cleaning methods if you really, really want to try to get as much of those toxic pesticides and stuff like that off of your food. There's cleaning methods. But at the same time, again, like I know it's not great and I don't want them on my food either. But my opinion is that the levels at which they are not, again, it's like a dose makes the poison thing. It's not large enough amounts that it's actually going to impact our health.
I sort of agree. I sort of agree. But it okay. So if you eat, some fruits and vegetables, you get a little bit of dose there. But then you're in an area where there's a little bit more pollution, so you get a dose there. And then you use this shampoo that has this in it, so you get a little bit of dose there. And then your laundry detergent, so you're getting all these little micro doses, and they do all add up. So I do think, yes, in a way, yes, but you should probably try to limit it as much as possible. But avoiding vegetables is not the thing that's going to do that.
That's not the answer. Yeah.
No, because vegetables have. So I don't know if I should go into all of the science of that, but
give us a snippet.
So like toxins, one of the things that they'll ruin your cells, right, and cause oxidation and things like that. Whereas the nutrients in fruits and vegetables help protect your cells and fight that off. So it's like that balance between the two. So it's going to give you that protection from it. And also organic food is still sprayed. It's still sprayed.
That's the other point.
It's still sprayed with stuff. It's just organic pesticides. And when it comes to making food, like I don't think it's a total terrible thing, because when it comes to making food, more available for people, I think it's probably a game changer for that too. So that food is, so half your crops aren't dying and things like that.
Right. Yeah. There's lots of ins and outs to that. But this also kind of links to something else that's been on my mind lately. I think because I've been in Texas and I'm going to be in Texas, and it's something I've seen in Texas. And I think that this is probably generally true for a lot of the United States, which I guess we could also talk about.
Yeah.
I put on my notes, Laura loves America and Jaime does not. That's an inaccurate statement, by the way. I just want to make it publicly aware that I'm a very proud and happy to be an American, and I love my country. But we can go into that later.
Laura loves America. Jaime does not.
It's on my notes. However, something that I see a lot of places, but I especially see it in Texas, we talk about this giant disconnect, right? This is like what we're talking about is like almost like a little bit minuscule, but we look at the grand scheme of things. This Celtic salt example is a good one, is that the amount Donovan and I have been talking, my husband Donovan and I have been talking about while we've been here, the amount of supplement stores vitamin shops, nutrition, like brick and mortars, like actually brick and mortars that have like a sign that say like nutrition, like nutritionist diet to whatever, as well as what else were we seeing? It was like supplement stores. Oh, the amount of people that are nurses in Texas it seems like disconnected, but it feels like almost every one of our young family members who's like figuring out what they want to do with their life are like going into nursing. We have a lot of nurses in our family. A lot of people in El Paso, San Antonio, and Texas in general, like going into nursing. So the amount of like medical care is like higher, I feel, in Texas than it is in most places. Yet the amount of like gyms and all of these things that are supposed to be like helping with your health is so contradictory to the amount of people who are extremely overweight, the amount of fast food restaurants that literally have lines wrapped around them at all hours of the day, because these people, they're very popular and they're on every corner. And I'm talking every corner you go to, lines is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like the disconnect between there's people that are spending a lot of money on healthcare, or like, you know, they're spending money, whatever. They're receiving healthcare, they're receiving medicine, and they're also going to stores and they're buying supplements. They're going to gyms and they're buying gym memberships. They're going to dietitians and they're getting meal plans. Yet you would think, given all of that, that we would see a decline in obesity. We would see a decline in obesity related health issues, right? Increase in health and fitness and body weight and all of that stuff, but that's not what's happening.
Nope, not at all.
So what's going on? Laura? Break it down for me.
You know, I think the answer is really simple.
Yeah.
Is that
it's a problem with America.
It's America. No, I love America. I just have to make it known that I love America. That it's part of it, I think, is a convenience thing, and just like our culture of what we eat. And like the other, like I'm thinking of like Caleb, when I send him to school, we would try to send him with healthy. Yeah. We try to send him with healthy snacks and things. And sometimes he didn't eat a snack, and he would always say like, all the other kids had chips and this and that. And he had, and so I think some of them were giving him their snacks, or we would send him with like an apple or bell peppers or whatever. Which in my opinion, I would rather have anyway. But I think it's the like culture around that food that's what people do. Just, and it's about that, like
that like American culture of like convenience.
The convenience.
Sorry, I'm just layering it on. I love America. Love my country.
And then the other thing, what was I going to say? I had another point. If you have anything to say.
Fill it in, please. If you have anything to say. So one, and I don't know, this isn't necessarily, it's partly the confusion of people don't really know what to do. It's partly the convenience. These things are just, and it is true that American culture in general, and I think it's not just American, I think it's like westernized, almost like culture, is very much towards convenience, like you said. And we're busy, and here's this thing that can be more convenient. And we could have convenience and health in the same, and maybe we just haven't reached that yet. Maybe convenience came first, and now we're realizing the negatives of that. So hopefully the health will come in with the convenience. But people are busier, they're sitting all of the time, and then they want things that are convenient. And getting up to walk isn't convenient. Moving your body isn't convenient. Bike riding to work isn't convenient. You have to deal with, inconsistent temperatures and bodily moisture and hard effort and all kinds of things. So a huge part of it is convenience. And I think honestly, a huge part of it is our medical system isn't necessarily bad, but the doctors and nurses are trained in medicine. They're not trained in preventative health and nutrition, which is nutrition and exercise. They get a smidget. In their training of nutrition and stuff like that, and exercise. But yet, and I don't know if it's necessarily medical professionals that think that they can give that kind of advice, or if it's the general consumer that thinks the doctor should know. And so whatever the doctor even says, they just take as gospel. But the truth is that doctors and nurses they are trained in medicine. And the way to prevent having to go to doctors and nurses and go see medical professionals is preventative nutrition, exercise, like preventative care.
Yeah, I agree with that. And don't even get me started on
Big pharma.
The way we treat things instead of trying to, like, we just treat the symptoms instead of trying to like prevent it or treat the root problem. The other thing is, I think it could easily be solved, like something super simple, easily solved, is if people focused on eating whole foods and moving more. Like just those two things, and it would be fixed. That's all you have to do.
Yes.
It's that easy.
Oh my gosh. I agree with you so much. It is so flipping easy. You don't know what to do? Eat whole foods. Yeah. Well, how do I do that? Well, if you're going to go eat a hot dog, don't, and go to Walmart instead. You're going to
get a rotisserie chicken.
Anyway. Yeah. Go to Walmart, get the chicken, and get the bagged salad mix. Don't worry about calories. I don't give two craps about this. Is not about calories. Eat the whole foods instead. Drive to Walmart instead. And this is kind of what I use. This is when we like travel. Even when we're traveling in other countries and abroad, it's actually one of my favorite cultural experiences is exploring the grocery stores in different countries. Because my goodness, you get to see local people. You get to see what they're eating. You get to listen to their language. You get to watch how they interact with their families. And you get to look at the shelves and see like what they're eating and how it's processed, how it's packaged. Like I just love exploring grocery stores in different countries. But that's what we do. Instead of course we go out to eat, you go out to eat, especially when you're in a different country. But the first thing we do is we go to the grocery store and we stock up on stuff for breakfast and snacks and like on the go lunches.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a road trip in America, if we're road tripping, we don't stop at McDonald's. We stop at the Walmart or the Target or the grocery store, and we get the high fiber wraps. We get a head of romaine lettuce because you can make lettuce wraps. You can put them in the tortillas. We get, little packs of tuna and like maybe some little packs of mayonnaise. They sell them in these little containers, whatever you want on them. And you can make wraps in the car.
Yeah.
Like rotisserie chicken, like you said, like the grocery store is the best place you can go to get food. I don't know if anybody knew that.
What a concept.
What a concept.
No, yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Fruit. So get a bag of apples and a jar of peanut butter.
Yeah, fruit is fruit is convenient though. That is, you can just eat an apple. Convenient. You can just eat a banana. Yeah. I love fruit. If you can't tell, the other day when all the fruit I ate.
Always be eaten.
Always be eaten.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, cheesy pizza. It gets me so fired up because like you said, the answer really is so easy.
Yeah.
No, it's so simple. That's what it is. Simple. It's not easy. Right.
Yeah. If people make it too complicated on themselves. And then they'll go on a health and fitness journey and they go all in and they just try to do everything. But it's really just these simple little things that you have to do.
Yes. Can we use that to dovetail into that BCAA creatine conversation?
Sure.
So this came up because one of our clients was saying in our group thread that she was listening to a different podcast that was talking about the importance of creatine and BCAA, which BCAA is branched chain amino acids. And so we had a response for that. Laura, what was it?
I think you responded. I don't think I responded, but BCAAs are a waste of money.
No, say what you said before.
Oh, like before we started the podcast?
Yeah, what did you say about BCAAs?
Stupid? I think I said they're stupid.
Give them the real you. It's just like stupid.
Just the concept of them is stupid.
It's stupid.
Because if you're getting enough protein, they don't do anything. You might as well just be flushing your money down the toilet.
Literally, because you pee it out.
Yes. They're unnecessary. They can be helpful if you're not getting enough protein or if you are a vegan and you don't get the right amino acids. to build muscle, like if you don't have like a diverse diet and getting the right, enough of the right amino acids. But other than that, they're worthless.
Yeah, exactly. Another area where I think the research points to that they could be beneficial is if you are really committed to training fasted and then not eating for like 3+ hours after training.
That's what I forgot. That was the other thing I was going to say, like putting it in your water if you, yeah.
Because you're sending those amino acids that your muscles need for muscle protein synthesis, you're sending them right there without actually, breaking your fast, which again, we could all talk about intermittent fasting and why you need to be doing that anyway. But if you are really committed to the idea of working out, training with, strength training first thing in the morning and not eating, again, you could still do that and eat relatively soon after and still be fine and not need BCAAs. But if you're going to really push that to like not eat 3, 4, 5 hours after you work out, then it could be beneficial.
Yeah.
But most people are not in that situation.
No.
And so we do get enough, 100% you get enough of the branched chain amino. You get BCAAs in your diet. So if you're already eating enough protein, you literally don't need BCAAs. They will, your body will filter it out and you will literally urinate out the amino acids that your body doesn't need or utilize.
Yes.
How about creatine?
Stupid. No, creatine isn't stupid.
Creatine is not stupid. Everybody should be taking
awesome.
Creatine.
Yeah.
I would actually argue that everybody should be taking creatine, even if you are not an active individual.
Yeah, it's hard to get it, enough from your food because I don't think you absorb it the same ways if you get it from a supplement, which is weird because most things are, the opposite, or maybe you're just not getting enough of it. And it has so many benefits, not just for building muscle and that kind of stuff, but also for your brain, and it has so many different benefits, and it's the most studied supplement, so it's safe, very safe,
and one of the cleanest.
Yeah,
it's
and generally
literally
inexpensive.
Just pure, inexpensive, generally simple ingredients, very well researched and studied, very close in I don't know, molecular construction to like what the creatine that we get in food is as well. So it's not like, your body absorbs it and processes it really well because it's like the same as what we get from our food. And in general, the scientific way to say it is creatine helps regenerate ATP faster. It's basically saying that like the energy pathway in your body that your body uses, ATP is like what it uses. And we use that whenever we use energy. So creatine, having your muscles full of creatine helps regenerate that ATP faster so that we can, get extra reps in or put a little bit more weight on the bar that we normally would have been able to do. But your brain uses ATP too. And so it's really interesting, the studies that are coming out on creatine supplementation in like aging populations and what it can help do with brain health and brain function and memory and stuff like that. So that's still very much emerging. But I even read, I don't remember who it was. I wish I could because I would want to go back and see more, but there was some nutrition researcher that was talking about that he actually supplements his kids with creatine because of all of the research that he sees and how good it is for the brain. So creatine is a definite thumbs up. BCAAs, don't waste your money.
Thumbs down.
Thumbs down. It's stupid.
It's stupid. That reminds me. Caleb just started having. I get excited about the little things. The little things make me excited.
Your 7-year-old
son started wanting to eat eggs for breakfast in the morning. All of a sudden, he loves eggs again, which made
one of the healthiest foods on the planet. Eggs.
Yeah. And when he was when he was younger, toddler age, I used to give him eggs every morning for breakfast for like a year at least. And eggs are one of the best sources of choline because it's hard to get choline in your food. Eggs is a very good source of it. And choline is really good for little ones, brain development. It's good for your memory, good for so many things. It's like one of those things that people don't really mention or talk about a lot, but it's actually like very,
choline doesn't get enough
important.
Love.
No, it doesn't. It's underrated.
Most underrated nutrients. Choline.
Choline. I remember when he was little, like he had the best memory ever. Like his memory was off the charts. Like he would just say things. I'm like, how do you remember that? And I always attributed it to all the eggs he ate and the choline, all the choline, and it's good for ADHD, which he has, because it helps your neurons, communicate.
Ah,
yeah.
I love talking to you about choline and neurons and selenium.
And selenium. Stupid nerdy person over here.
Her son Caleb and I feel like, so we've just, I think coincidentally started ADHD medication like the same time. Yeah. So I feel like we're on this journey together, me and Caleb, through the computers.
Yeah. It's so awesome because, so he's in summer camp, right? And summer camp's awesome because it's a good one, like he just started this week. On Monday, they had the local baseball team come and teach them how to, they played wiffle ball, but teach them how to like swing a bat and all of that. And then and then the next day it was something with like, I don't know, something with animals and what animals are safe to touch or something. He said, and they brought dogs in, and he was telling me how they were like, you have to ask the owner first if you could pet the dog, then you ask the dog. And I'm like, oh, that's adorable. And then today they had like a water slide bounce house thing. So it's a good camp.
That's awesome.
And part of the reason I wanted to send him was because he's, I don't want him inside like playing on his tablet all the time. I want him out socializing and doing these things and playing with other kids. And last year I wouldn't have done that because he was just, I would be afraid he would get kicked out because he was constantly getting in trouble with things. Like in school, I'd get calls almost every day about the things he was doing. And now he's like a freaking little angel and I don't have to worry about it. And I just send him off and I know he's going to be his adorable little self.
That's what's been so interesting, I think, about for me watching your journey and like talking to you, through all of this, because I had ADHD as a child too. So, but it was never like Caleb's. And I think too, we have this like this rise in ADHD diagnoses in children, which partly is good because there's kids like me that, ADHD wasn't a thing when I was a kid. And so I just struggled and struggled and struggled my entire flipping life. And I look back and think, God, if somebody would have just caught me, like maybe I could have been, I could have had more success, but whatever. I'm good now. Very successful, very happy, like no complaints. But Caleb, and I see a lot of kids, they don't pay attention in class and the teachers like maybe get them, ADHD or this, that, and the other. But Caleb is a case where, I mean, it wasn't just not being able to focus in class. It was like his impulses and it was impacting his life, your husband's life, his ability to do well in school, to make friends, his self-confidence. And so this has been like pretty life-changing for him, I feel.
Oh, it's a 180. Yeah. He's a totally different child. He was, I mean, I don't want to go into all the things, but his behavior was like, I didn't take putting him on medicine lightly. Like that's not something that I would want to do, but it is the best decision because he's doing well in school. Like now he's like catching up because he was getting behind, and he's really smart, from all the choline. So, so
because I gave him choline as a baby, he's very intelligent. He really is, though. He's like, I would always tell Laura, like, he's such a cool kid. Like he's really cool. Like I love talking to him. He shows me his Lego things. He's incredibly intelligent. He's funny. Yeah. And but he's not, he wasn't able to fully like show the world who he really was because it was like masked with all of the stuff that he couldn't control. Yeah. So I think it's really cool.
And he felt like he would always feel bad about how he acted afterwards. Like not during it. During it, there was just no talking to him. Like when he would have like crazy episodes. Now, when he afterwards, he would always feel really bad about it because I don't think he was able to even control what he was doing. So, yeah.
Good dude. Good stuff. That Caleb.
He's adorable. He's my little angel now.
Yeah, no, Jules is the one giving you problems.
Yeah.
You got any other quick topics for the next 10 minutes?
I was thinking about, and I don't know how, I think we could do it in 10 minutes, thinking about, because we've been talking a lot about hypertrophy and strength. And a lot of people probably don't know what we're talking about or know that there's a difference. You know, I know when I first started lifting, I just thought they were the same. Like I didn't realize there was a difference, like they're different adaptations. So I figured we could talk a little bit about that.
Definitely. Yep.
Does that sound good? Because I've been talking about like hypertrophy training and strength training and all of that. And I just, to make you happy so that you're no longer mad at me, I switched to.
So you stopped training your quads?
I stopped training my quads and I switched to more like power building type programming, which is different. What made me think of this topic was because you have to train different for strength than hypertrophy. It's similar, but it's a little different. Mm-hmm. And remember how I was saying how I was always like I felt like I wasn't ready. Like I felt like the weights just felt so heavy and I wasn't ready. And so this time I'm like, well, stop lifting so much. Like lower the weights, dummy. So that's what I did this week because I was used to lifting, you know, I'm using like the numbers that I lifted way before when we were doing the competition and using those. So I lowered my percentages and I feel really good this week and it felt really good and I don't feel like I'm going to die. And it reminded me how, they're different. Like with hypertrophy, intensity is really important. Like you want to get within 1 to 3 reps shy of failure so that you can, you know, it sends that, you know, signal to build muscle. Whereas with strength, you don't necessarily need to do that. You want to lift heavy and you want to continue to do a little bit more and push your body, but you don't need to be going close to failure. And in fact, it could actually make it worse. Like it can, sometimes it's better not to do that because bar speed matters with strength also. So having those really grindy reps where you can barely get the weight up, and it doesn't mean you should never do that because I think you should to push the weights to get your body used to lifting like a new weight, but you don't have to do that every set the way you would with hypertrophy.
Yeah, so it just made me think about studies on like is it isometric training where you're literally like pushing against something that's not moving, so you're literally training that is that isometric? Am I using the right word?
Yeah.
For some reason it feels wrong. I feel like there's a different I word, but yeah, like isometric training. So the idea of like imagine doing a bench press, you're pushing the bar away from you, right? But now imagine pushing a wall that you know is not going to move, but you're pushing it as hard as you possibly can. It feels pointless, right? Because we know the wall's not going to move. But actually that kind of training was it like within 2 weeks, something crazy. It like very drastically improved people's strength. And so it was like literally training that portion. And you can imagine that being like the sticking point where you're bench pressing and you got it all the way down to your chest. And then you come up halfway and like, oh crap, I don't know. That's that sticking point. And pushing through that, you know, sometimes I'll tell my clients, they think, you know, they'll submit their form videos and they're like, this was an RPE, rate perceived exertion of 9 out of 10. Like this was a 9. And then I'll look at their video and their sticking points pretty quick. Like maybe they felt like it was really hard, but they went through, there was really no pause. And that's when I'm like, we need actually a bit of a longer sticking point because that kind of time, even if it's just a second or 2 seconds longer, is really going to send a signal to our body like, oh crap, we need to send more soldiers in because this, you know, we need to be able to do this better next time and increase that strength.
Yeah, definitely.
And then also, I feel like when I think of strength and hypertrophy too, it used to be, or I was going to say, I used to think, but it used to be more common general knowledge or understanding that there were these specific ranges for strength, a specific range for hypertrophy, and a specific range for like anything higher than like 15 reps was like more endurance, muscle endurance. And hypertrophy was like within 6 to 15 reps, and strength was like 1 to 6 reps. But now we know that it's not that it's really not that rigid.
Not for hypertrophy, but for strength.
Not for hypertrophy. Yes.
Yeah.
So strength is still very much, if you want to train for strength, you need to be doing lower reps.
Yeah. Heavy weights.
But you can have muscle growth along the spectrum.
Yeah. Anywhere from like 3 to 30 reps,
Right.
Yeah. As long as you're going close to failure.
Exactly. So if you want to pick a really light weight and literally just stand there for 50 million years doing 30, 40 reps
Nobody
per set,
wants to do that.
Unless you're like, I don't know, if you're a weirdo that hates heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Or if you just really don't like the way heavier weight feels, I don't know, on your joints, or for whatever reason, if it just feels, you could technically do 30 to 40, but you would have to be very close to failure at that point, because really reps 1 through 25 were ineffective.
Yeah. That's why when you figure out your volume, you do it by sets and not, like weight times reps, doing it that way, weight times reps times sets, because if you're doing, it doesn't like, so if you're doing 8 reps, the first couple reps, you're not really training close to failure, not until like the last couple. So it's really more like how many heavy sets you're doing matters more than the actual total volume doing weight times reps times sets. Does that make sense?
So give me an example.
So if you were, okay, so for example,
like of the difference of those two. Yeah, go ahead.
So, when you're counting how much volume you're doing, just pay attention to how many heavy sets you're doing. So you want to do somewhere between, if you're looking for hypertrophy, probably somewhere between 10 and 20 sets per muscle is good for most people. And 10, most likely for people who are, aim for the lower end of that. Most people don't need to do 20. If you're doing 20, especially not for every muscle, if you're doing 20 for every muscle, that's going to be a lot. So aim for the lower end of that for the most part. Most people somewhere in the middle, maybe as you get a little bit more experience. That matters more than doing the total volume, of like, I did this many reps times this weight, times this sets, and adding that up. Because if you do it that way, obviously you would need more sets if you're doing more reps. If you're doing 2 heavy, or if you're doing like 2 reps really heavy, that's a lot different than if you're doing like 2 reps where you're doing like, doing sets where you're doing like 10, 12 reps, your volume is going to be more.
So it's really, we don't need to worry about doing all of this mathematical multiplication and all this stuff, as long as you are following the general advice that between 10 to 20 sets per muscle. And combo counts. So like a chest press or a bench press is going to count for triceps. It's also going to count for shoulders. It's also going to count for chest. So you can count it for those. But as long as we're doing 10 to 20 for, and then making sure that you're lifting with enough intensity, we're good.
Yeah. Yep.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, like if I do like a bench press, I count that as one set for chest, and then a half a set for triceps and shoulders. That's how I do it.
Why do you do that? Just to make sure you're getting those.
Yeah, it doesn't hit those as hard as like, if you're going to do like a tricep extension, it's going to be a little bit harder on your, triceps, a little harder on your triceps than the bench press.
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely read that, like, count it for each muscle that it's hitting, like even the secondary muscles. Well, maybe not if it's like a supporting muscle or something, but the primary and then the secondary, you can count it. Do you do half a set because you've read that somewhere, or because it makes logical sense to you?
That made logical sense to me, and then I did read it somewhere.
Yeah,
so it confirmed
it's interesting
that to me.
And I think that like if you calculate it as like 10 to 20, but you're counting everything as like, it can count for shoulders, it can count for triceps, it can count for chest, then maybe hit more of like the middle range of like 15 sets.
Yep. It's definitely not an exact science, because
no, nothing is.
It's really hard to count how many, like a deadlift, like hits so many muscles,
Exactly. Yeah.
But anyway, also, so strength and hypertrophy are different. Strength is a neurological adaptation, where hypertrophy is, actually building your muscles. So they're two different adaptations, and you don't train them exactly the same way. You could think of strength as a skill, like you're trying to get better at the lift. So that means you don't always have to be, so close to failure. And with hypertrophy, intensity matters, getting close to failure. Your volume and frequency are three things that are important for that. So you want to hit your muscles at least twice per week, usually.
Yeah, and
those 10 to
hypertrophy
20
is like
sets.
The size of your muscle, right? So
Yeah.
actually trying to grow that muscle.
Grow them.
And if you only train in hypertrophy ranges or train for hypertrophy, you still get stronger from your baseline. If you only train for strength, you will build muscle. But if you want to optimize strength training and muscle building, you're going to need, definitely past the beginner stage, you need to start training specifically for those things in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you're a beginner, just training in that 8 to 12 rep range, you're going to get both really, like you're going to, hit both. You don't really need to, you can still, it's still fun to lift heavy weights for lower reps, but you're still going to get both a little bit easier than, like, say, I'm not going to gain a lot of strength in like that 8 to 12 rep range. I can get stronger at that, but
You're not, right?
I'm not going to be building a ton of strength.
Maybe next week we can delve a little bit deeper into that on how to train, because most people want to get stronger and they want bigger muscles. How can they? And some people are just trying to do it all the time. Can we do it all the time? Maybe not. We'll find out next week on the
Deadlifts I think that's a good idea, because I'm a little all over the place right now and I don't know if I made any sense. So
you made total sense, but I just feel like there's so much, like we covered like the surface, but like we could really go into that a little bit more and talk about different ways, because I know we've both seen different ways of people. Some people do block training for each, like this block is only going to be strength, this one's only hypertrophy. Can you mix them? Can you not? What makes the most sense? I think that would be a good discussion to have.
Like how to set up a workout and everything too, or a program. Also, one last thing, just gonna blow your mind.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
You're going to be disappointed. I'm doing
I also think that's true. Huh?
I'm doing full body. 5 days a week.
What is wrong with you?
I
5 days a week?
Yes. And I love it. my workouts are get in, get out.
Again, I want to make sure that all the people know Lara is extremely good at programming, very much understands the ins and outs of how to program full body 5 days a week and have it be efficient. She's very advanced. I would not recommend the average person go out and start training full body 5 days a week. It needs to be well designed. It needs to make sense. You're hitting muscle groups in different rep ranges at different points of your workout to make sure. Like, so
I might hit shoulders 2 days in a row, but they're not the same intensities or
right. I mean, you're technically hitting, if you're doing full body, you're hitting your shoulders literally every single day, but you're not hitting them with the same intensity every single day. So you're probably doing a pretty, I would assume, knowing you, that you're doing a pretty heavy overhead press, probably one of those workouts.
Yes, on Tuesday, Wednesday? Yeah, was that yesterday?
Because you love overhead press and you're really strong at it.
Yeah, I haven't been doing it I haven't done it in a long time. I do like it, but I haven't been doing it, so I feel weaker in it. What I do, I did it was supposed to be, because I'm, putting, like, I put the percentages in there for me so that I don't go crazy, and I try to follow those. So it was supposed to be a lower. This was like not, close to failure. So it was 65 pounds for 8 reps.
Whew, that's awesome.
Yeah. But, I can obviously do more than that. I also reminded me of this too, is, do you remember when we were doing the power building program and you kept trying to beat me?
Yes.
So you kept going closer, like pretty much to failure all the time. And I'm like, Jaime, stop it.
Stop.
You need to stop.
That's
like, not how I designed it, Jaime.
Yeah. I would look, because Lara she programmed for each of us the actual percentages that each of us should do to get stronger.
Yeah.
So I would look at mine. I'd be like, okay, Lara's telling me to do, this percentage and this weight, which makes sense. Okay. Then I would go into her workout because I had access to her account. Like, well, what did she do? So, and then instead of following my number, I'd be like, well, she did 65 pounds for 8 reps. That's what I'm going to do.
And I'm like, Jaime, stop it. But how am I supposed to beat you if I don't?
We needed a different, yeah. Okay. I'm going to do better next time.
Sorry.
Like, I know these things logically. Like,
I didn't mean to call you out in front of everyone. Yeah.
Oh, it's fine. I don't mind. Everybody can know, all the people.
It's just that you're awesome. A hard worker.
I am. See, that's what it is.
Competitive.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
Thanks for listening to the Deadlifts and Pizza podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe. On Spotify, 5-star review would be so appreciated. And I feel like I should be throwing this in more. Laura and I are both personal trainers, nutrition coaches, some of the best out there, guaranteed. So you can find our Instagrams in the show notes, all the information to find us, follow us, all that good stuff. Thanks for listening.